Welcome back to the channel. My name's Lucas. Today we're going to be trying Rippleflux by Aeon. Alright, here's the rule set. Normal Sudoku rules apply, i.e. place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Lime green lines are region sum dex lines. They both act as a region sum line and an index line. Region sum. Sums of the digits on a line segment is the same for each box it passes through. Different lines may have different sums. So this line, the lime green line, right, passes through two boxes. The sum of the digits on these cells along the line is the same as the sum of these cells. Right, this line, for instance, right, passes through this box, and this box. So these two sum to these two, which sum to those two. Index. This is a rule that this is the first time I'm doing a puzzle on this channel with this rule set. So starting from the circle, the digit in the nth cell along a line indicates the position along the line where the digit n appears. Okay, that may sound complicated, but what this means is that let's just for example, say this digit is a 4. This is the first position in the index line. So that's saying write 1 in the 4th position along the line. So the 1 would have to go there. All right. Similarly, let's say if this was a 6, it's in the 2nd position along the line. So it's saying write 2 in the 6th position. This digit denotes where it goes along the line. So the 2 would have to go here. So those are the rules. And the way to play is to click the link below. Now it's my turn. Here we go. So the first thing, this puzzle is very cool because the lines are both index and region sum, which is not often you see that. So, question. Can you have a digit on a lime green line that is bigger than the length of the line? The answer is no. Well, let's see how that works. Well, this line here is striking because it's 5. Its length is 5. What happens if I had a digit bigger than 5 on this line? Let's say I put a 6. Okay, this 6 is telling me write 1 in the 6th position on a line. Well, the line is not 6 long, it's only 5. Likewise, if we try 7, 8, or 9. So the important thing about index lines is you can't have a digit larger than the length of the line. If the line is 9 in length, then you could have all the possible digits. This is interesting because this cell sums to those two, and it can't be higher than a 5 because we just explained that, and it obviously can't be a 1 or a 2. Let's try to see if it could be a 3. Well, if it's a 3, then by indexing, it's saying write 1 in the 3rd position, which would have to go here. This would have to be a 2, right? Okay, so it works so far. However, we would have to put 1 and 2 here, right? But remember, these are indexing where the 4 goes and where the 5 goes on the line. And that this would be saying write 4 in one of these. Not possible, right? So you can kind of see how this is working. So this can only be a 4 or a 5. There's no other option. Let's take a look. I think this may give us a digit. If it's a 4, right, this has to be 1, 3. Now, how do we make these sum to 4? Well, again, it has to be 1 and 3. And I think we've ran into the same position. Well, this 4 is telling us, right, 1 in the 4th position, which would have to go there. This would have to be 3. But now this 3 is telling us write 5 in the 3rd position. The fifth position along the line must go in this position. But once you write 5, you break the sum. So the only way this can work, the only way is if you make this a 5 and this a 1, okay? If 5 indexes a 1, likewise the 1 indexes the 5. So this must be a 4. This is like self-indexing because the 4 is in the correct position along the line, right? The 4 is saying, right, 4 in the fourth position. We already wrote it. So it's self-indexing. Okay, so the 1 and the 5 go together, and now these are 2 and 3, and we know the order? We actually don't know the order. So this could be a 3 in the third position, this could be a 2 in the second position, or it could be the other way around, and they index each other. So we don't know that. All right, but we do know that's a 4. All right, very good. Now, let's try to apply the same principle to this line. All right. Well, first of all, what's the minimum these can sum to? The minimum they can sum to is a 2 and a 3, which is 5, which means the minimum this could be is a 5. Now, can it be a 9? Well, the line is only 6 long, so remember, it cannot be larger than the length of the line. So since it's only 6 in length, then it's not able to be a 9, 8, or 7. So this is very reduced. But actually, that's wrong because this whatever this digit is tells us where the 1 goes on the line. So if it's a 5 or a 6, it's saying write 1 in one of these two, which will break Sudoku. So what I just said is wrong. It's a 1, 2, 3, or 4. We can see it can't be a 4 by like index Sudoku logic. Because if it's a 4, that's saying write 1 in the fourth position, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and that would break. All right. So we could figure out what these sum to. Let's see, you could make it sum to 5. You can't make it sum to 6 because you've used the 1 and you've used the 4. Could you make it sum to 7? To 5? Yes. Hmm. Yeah, and this is interesting because remember, this can't be. Oh, this like can only be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But the minimum you can make the sum add to is 5, right? 5, which would actually fail. That's very clever. That's gonna fit. Like if you try to make this add to 5, it's going to fail. Okay. And the reason is because remember, these are indexing. The digit here tells us where in what position the 5 goes. It's the fifth cell along the index line. So if you make this sum to 5, and I put a 2 or a 3 here, it's saying write 5 here or here, but then the sum, the region sum will break because you'd have this 5 and then you'd have 5 plus something else, and the sums will not work. So you cannot make it. You cannot make it 5. So obviously that can't be a 1. It also can't be a 2. This can't be a 3. Now, if this is a 6, Hmm. This is telling us where the 2 goes, right? Oh, and obviously. So the way I'm kind of working through these possibilities is this may not even be like such a good place to start, but this cell tells us like where the 1 goes on the line. If it's a 1, it indexes itself. If it's a 2, it's saying write 1 in the second position. But that would obviously break because you can't have it sum to 3. So, okay, now we're getting really close. If it's a 3, it's saying write 1. This is a 3. It's saying write 1 in the third position. Now, this already limits the sum. And now, again, the sum is either 7, 8, or 9 if this is a 3. And it can't be 8 or 9 because you can't put a digit higher than a 6 on the line. So this would have to be a 6. That would have to be a 4. Okay, you may say, all right, well, this is good because the sum works. We got 7 and 7. This is good. Indexing this 4 tells us write the 2 in the fourth position. But we already have the 6 there. So that actually breaks. So that's one way of showing that this has to be a 1. Now, by Sudoku, the 1 is in one of these two positions. If this is a 1, it's saying write 4 in the first position. Now, we said it can't sum to 5, so no 4. Could it sum to 6? Don't think it can. Because then how would you make these two sum to 6? You can't use 1, 5, or 2, 4. So this is a 6, which says write 2 in the sixth position, which must go there. So that gets the 3 and the 2 disambiguated. So this sums to 7, right? So this is 5, and it's self-indexing. This sums to 7, and it's 3 or 4. Now this must be a 3. And the reason it's 3 or 4 is because we can't use 1, 6, and we can't use 2, 5. And then by Sudoku, this is a 3, and that's 4. So actually, it's funny. These 4 digits all index themselves on the line. 1 is in the correct position, 3 is in the correct position, so on and so forth. Only the 2 and the 6 are swapped. Okay, now we just got a lot of digits, which is very nice. This line maybe it's a good thing to kind of do that line. Or we can look at where 1 goes. 1 can't go here, because then 3 would have to go there. So the 1 is definitely in one of these two positions. Most likely it indexes itself, but we can't say that for certain. Okay, the 2, if the 2 is here, that's saying write 3 there, which is impossible. So one of those is a 2. Hmm. Okay. This cell is quite restricted because whatever digit is in this cell is telling us where do we put the 1 on the line. Well, the 1 um, can't go here, obviously, by Sudoku. And it can't go in any of these positions. Right? Imagine this was a 2 or, like a 5. Then it'd be saying, okay, put a 1 in the fifth position. But that would be here and that would break. So the only digits by Sudoku that can be a 1 on the line is a 4 or a 9. Or no. No, that's wrong. Six. A 4 or a 7. Yep, 4 or 7. Because if it's a 4, the 1 is here. If it's a 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 1 is there. This is a 9-cell line. Do maybe some region sum. These three sum to these three, which sum to these three. Can we say it needs to be 15, 15, and 15? Does it have to include the digits 1 to 9 once each in a 9-cell region sum or and the index line is the question. Probably. Because if we duplicate a digit, probably something bad happens. Try to prove that. All right, suppose how would that work? All right, let's say let's just say for demonstration purposes you put like 2 7s here. This would be saying no, that's not possible. Because this 7 would say write 5, this is the 5th position, in the 7th position. Okay. That would put a 5 here, but we just put a 7 there to show that, if we had 2 7s, so that's impossible. I'm not sure if that's like a rigorous proof. Just show that you can't have a repeated digit on the line, because then 2 different cells would go. Like let's say you had this digit and this digit were repeated, like they're the same digit. Then let's say this digit is X. Okay, this is saying in the 4th position, right? Because this is in the 4th position. All right, so this is saying, let me just get this straight. This is saying write 4 in the X position. This is saying write 8 in the X position. But you can't put 2 different digits in the same location, right? It's like a 1-to-1. Like one thing points to another thing and back and forth. You can't have repeated digits on the line. I think that's a valid proof because a repeated digit would simultaneously put 2 different digits in the same cell. Yeah, and we can see, right, these lines is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So that will prove, I hope that's clear to everyone, that you can't have a repeated digit on the lime green line. So this will contain one set of the digits 1 to 9. Now, we don't know how many digits index itself. That we have not proved. I think like that is either even or odd, like the number of self-indexing digits. Because every digit has to pair up with another one, right? The 6 and the 2 pair up. The 1 is itself, the 3 and the 4 and the 5 are themselves. The 5 and the 1 pair up, the 2 and the 3 pair up, and the 4 indexing itself. So now that we know that like on a 9-cell lime green geez. Just Now that we know that on a lime green line, it's a region sum and an index line, right? It must contain a complete set of the digits 1 to 9 once each, because we cannot have any repeated digits. This passes through three boxes. So this is like a very beautiful setting. Like great job by Aeon, because it's combining both of the rules like perfectly. So we just proved, right, that this is a set of the digits 1 to 9 once each, but it's passing through three boxes, and by the region sum line, they all have to have the same sum. So let's say this is x, and that's x. So x plus x is 3x. So 3x must be equal to 45, because we know the sum of the digits 1 to 9. If you add up all the digits, you get 45. So 3x equals 45, so x is 15. So this sums to 15, that sums to 15, and that sums to 15. Um, Now, how do we make more progress? The one is kind of interesting. Um, we could just see, right? The one has to go on the line somewhere. Okay, clearly. The one could go here, right? It can't go there. Can't go here, because I would say, right, 4 here. Can't go there. Could go there, and it could go here. So those are the options for the one. And these sum to 15. Okay. All right. So this is 15. But now we know we can't have a 1 and a 2, right? So 15 and 12 is 27. So this sums to 18. Doesn't get me anywhere. Okay, the 2 by Sudoku goes in one of these three positions. That may not sound like it's useful, but it is, because the 2 is saying uh, basically what this digit is. So if this is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 5. That's a 2, that's a 6. And if that's a 2, that's an 8. So we know this digit because of the placement of the 2's. It's only a 6, 7, 8, or 9. So it can't be a 1, 2, a 3, or a 4. Which means a 3, well, it's not a 9. Because a 9 will put a 3 here. So that means a 3 is 6, 7, 8 in one of those positions. Oh. Oh, the 1 is in one of those three by Sudoku, and it can't go here. So I'll put a 4 there. Okay. So this tells us the 1 is not here. So the 1 is either here, but like we know that it's on the line, right? We know that it's on the line, on this line. So the 1 could go here, or the 1 could go here. If it's not a 1, what can it be? Ooh. What happens if this cell is not a 1? Well, it would have to be a minimum of 6, because it's seeing the other digits. So it would have to be 6, 7, 8, or 9. But we have to be careful, because these sum to, yes, 15. So this can't be a 9, right? It also can't be an 8, because you can't get the sum to work out. So it would have to be a 6 or a 7. And the 1 cannot go here. So this is not a 6. This would have to be a 7. And that just does not look right. This would be a 1 by index. this would be a 6 or an 8, but it can't be an 8. Because then this would sum to something bigger then. So this would be 6. That would mean this is 13, so that needs to be a 2. So that would work for now, but don't know if I'm hopeful. The 6 means write 3 here. The 7, okay. So now these sum to 14, and they are not 6, 8. So they are 9, 5. These sum to 12. 4, 8. Oh my goodness, could this really work? Well, this is crazy. This could actually work. This could index itself. That could index itself. Ooh, boy. Okay, that actually can work. I thought that wasn't going to work. So basically, what we've learned from that experiment is that this is only a 1 or a 7, which is such a strange pencil mark. I'm gonna take a think here. I guess the set, like when we put a 7 here, it looked good. Let's put a 1 here and see what happens. This can't be a 2, because then the sum will not reach 15. That would have to be a 2. 6, 7, 8, 9. These sum to 14. So that's not a 7. I suppose it could be no, it can't be a 9, because then the 2 would go there. That is a 6, 8 pair, which means this is 7, 9. That means the 2 and the 3. It's a super weird pencil mark. But the 2 is either in the 6th position or the 8th position, and the 3 is again either in the 6th position or the 8th position. So this is good. Or where do you put a 9? If you put the 9 there, that would be saying write a 7 here, but then the sum is too big. If you put a 9 there, it'd be saying write 5 here. This would sum to 6. It'd have to be 2, 4. 3, 7. Oh my God, it's possible. Crazy. Crazy stuff. All right, what else am I supposed to think about here? Yeah, so, all right, well, what can this digit be? Can't be a 2. So that would say write 1 here. It also can't be a 3. Because that would say write 1 here, and then you can't put a 1 on that 45 line. So, and it can't be 4 or 5. So it's a 6, 7, 8, or 9. But this is only what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells long. So that is literally only a 6 or a 7 or a 1. So annoying. Yeah. So this will contain the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which sum to 28. Which means this will sum to 14, and that will sum to 14. 3, 6, 7, 8. So this contains the digits 1 to 8 once each, which sum to 36. So then you'll have 18 and 18. So 18 here, 18 there. Yeah, so you basically have a weird thing going on. You have to use the digits 1 to 7, which sum 28, and then you split them up, pick 3 of those digits, they must sum to 14, and the other 5 must sum to, the other 4 must sum to 14. So you have 3 digits that sum to 14, and then another 4 digits that sum to 14. So 167 is a possibility. And then what's that? 2, 3, 4, 5? Maybe, all right, 15 and 14 is 29. So these sum to 16 doesn't get me anywhere. 18 and 18. That's a 1, that's a 4. That means this sums to 13, which is possible with the 5, 8, and the 6, 7. Just so I can see how that works. 1, 4, 5, 8, or 6, 7. Doesn't get me anywhere. The 1 was there. I mean, that works. If you put a 7 here, that also works. I don't see how anyone is supposed to continue from here. Oh, oh, the 3 has to be on this line, right? Somewhere. Must. Because this, right, is the 1 to 8 once each. But it can't be here by Sudoku, so the 3 is definitely up here, which takes it out from here. And finally, we get some sort of a digit, is we get a 3 there. So the 2 and the 3 are definitely here. Which means this is the 5th position, the 6th position, and the 8th position. So that puts a 5, 6, or 8 here. You can't put a 7. I don't think you can put a 7 there, because that would say write 2 or 3 here. So that's not possible. Very interesting. This sums to 5. You need 13 more with 2 digits, so you can include the 1. Yeah. You have 4 digits that sum to 18. Okay, 2 and 3. If you included the 1, you wouldn't be able to get up to 18. So that means the 1 is definitely here, which puts a 4 there. Now, this is 5, so these sum to 13, and it's not 6, 7 due to the funny indexing rule, which is very funny. So this is a 5, 8, which puts a 2 and a 3 in the 5th and the 8th positions. So here's the 5th position, 6, 7, 8, and here's the 8th position. So we know that those are where the 2 and the 3 are going to go by the indexing. So this sums to 13. So it is 6 and 7. Now, if that's a 7, it's indexing itself. That's a 7, it's saying write 6 here, so they'd be indexing each other. Now, what else do we do? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a 6, 7, or 9, and this, well, it's not a 6. So it is a 7 or a 9. This is a 6, 7, or 9 by Sudoku. So the 6 is definitely in one of these two. All right. What else? What else? Surely that do something. 5's down here. Not much. Okay, this is, what, a 7 cell? So we have 14 each. That's 1. That sums 13. which can't be 4, 9. Now it could be 5, 8, and now it can't be 6, 7. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, if this is a 1, it's going to do some things. It's going to make this a 1, which is going to index itself. This can now not be a 2. This would have to be 2. This would sum to 14. So this would be a 6, 8, which would put a 2 and a 3 here by index. But these two sum to 14. I'm sorry, sum to 13, because we know this is 14 and that's 14. The only way you can make that happen, you can't use 4, 9, because you can't put a 9 on the line. So 5, 8, or 6, 7, but it's not 6, 7. That would rule out this. So it is 5, 8, which is indexing the position of the 2 and the 3. Oh, well, it can't be 8. It can't be 8 either, because you can't write an 8 anywhere on the line because it's only 7 cells long in length. So it can't be 5, 8, or 6, 7. So basically the 1 is impossible. So we have shown by, I guess you could say, bifurcation, is that the 1 is not possible to go here. But remember, the 1 must go somewhere on the line. So it has to go down here somewhere. And it can't go there, because that would be saying write 4 here. And it can't go there, because that would be saying write 5 here. So it literally must go here, which means you have an X-wing of the 1s. So the 1 definitely is there. That's very nice. You have an X-wing. Now, let's continue with this. If that's 7, this sums to 7. It's not 1, 6. It could be 2, 5, or 3, 4. If it's 6, it sums to 8. Okay, I feel like that was a nice deduction, but don't know what else to do. Okay, this cell is very interesting. This cell is indexing, right, where the 6 goes on the line. So if it's a 1, it means write 6 here, which we can do. But what if it's anything other than a 1? What happens? If it's a 2, it's saying write 6 in the second position, which would clash with this. If it's 3, write 6 here, but that would surely not work because that would put 6, 7, and 1, which would mess this up. If it's 4, it's saying write 6 here, but we can't because this is a 6, 7 pair. Could it really be 5? That's so annoying. Oh, that's insane. If it's 5, then it's saying write 6 here. So these would be 11. That would be 12. That would have to be a 2, which would mean write a 4 here. This would sum to 10. Wait a minute. Let me just see. Because, I mean, the 5 seems like it shouldn't work. This is saying write 6 here. Then this must be a 1. Then that must be a 7. This must be a 6. That must be a 7. But more importantly, what does it do to the line? The sum is 14. So 12, that's a 2. That's a 4 by index. Then this is a 3, which indexes itself, which would work. Holy cow. This would be a 5. That would be an 8. Wow, that would work, which is nuts. Just did not seem like the 5 could go there. But this configuration for now does hold true. Now we can ask ourselves where the 3 goes on this line. Right now, we clearly can't go in any of those positions. And actually, by Sudoku, the 3 will go there. So it has to be here somewhere. So the 3 was in one of those two. Yep. And the 3 can't go there because that would mean that is a 5. That would have to be a 3, which puts a 6 here. Which means this is a 3. Okay, that 6 will make what? Yeah, and now this can't be a 1 because the 8 and the 2 would clash. So that is a 7. That would put a 1 there. So far, so good. This is 13. That means that's a 2. This would do the 9 and the 7. This would be... Well, this would sum to 14. It would have to be 6, 8, or 5, 9, which it can't be because of these. So it's a long-winded explanation. I know this is probably not the way to do it, but just something about that 5 seemed a little fishy. So yes, I bifurcated the crap out of that. But what this tells me is that the only possible way this cell can exist is if it's a 1. By process of grueling elimination. I mean, they should make a separate category like Sudoku elimination. And it's basically this. You test out all the values of 1 to 9. You test out that there's 2 possible values. And then you go through the whole puzzle and something breaks. It looks good for like 10 digits, but then once you get here, it breaks. Sorry if that is not proper Sudoku etiquette, but in life, if you're trying to solve a puzzle, you got to get there any way you can. So this one means that's a 6 by index. So that's a 7. And this will definitely help us because it's a 9, that's a 6. You still don't know the 5, 8, the 2, 3, which is annoying. So bifurcation, actually a valid Sudoku technique, and no one can tell me otherwise. All right. This, we remember it sums to what? 14. So this sums to 8. It's not 2, 6. Could it be 1, 7? No. Or 2, 6. So it is 3, 5 to get to 14. And we know the order. That's a 5. That's a 3. This 5 says write 2 here. So that's a 2, which means that's a 2. That means this is a 2. That's a 3. This 3 is saying it's in the 5th position. So that's 5. That's an 8. And now we are getting somewhere. This is indexing where the 3 goes. Well, now the 3 can't go in any of these positions, so this can't be a 7 or an 8. So therefore it is a 6. That is a 3. Which means that's not a 3. Now, if that's a 1, this sums to 15, remember, so this would be 1, 6, 8, which would put a 2 here, which is okay. And in fact, by Sudoku, the 2 literally is only in one of these two positions. If the 2's here, that's saying write 9 here, but then these would sum to 15. This would have to be 0, not a 2. This is a 2, so the 2 is not self-indexing, which is kind of a bummer. That means put an 8 here. And now 14, put a 1 there. Okay. So we are getting some where? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 7, 8, 9. Do some Sudoku, why not? This is 7, 8, 9. There are 3 by Sudokus down there. Okay, well, this sums to 14, right? This also has to sum to 14, and it must contain a 7. So that is a 7. It indexes itself. This is a 4. It indexes itself. Let's check. 7 and 7 is 14, so perfect. So that's not a 3. That's a 3. And my golly, 62 minutes. This is a long video. 7, 9, but I'm happy I got through it. I don't care if I bifurcated. Okay. I haven't seen the bifurcation police around, and I don't think it's going to come knocking on my door. So I'm inefficient and I'm proud. All right, continue. 5 and 6 by Sudoku in one of these two. 8 and 9. Yeah, sing it with me. I'm inefficient and I'm proud. Yeah, let's go. All right. 1 and 4, which can be resolved. A 1 by Sudoku's there, a 5, an 8, and a 9. 5 is here. The 8 and the 9 are like this. 4 is in one of these two positions. Yeah, we can start doing this line here. Yeah, the 4 is now not on this middle part of the line. So it must be on the line somewhere. It's not here. So that is a 4, which is in the 7th position, which means the 7 goes in the 4th position. Bang, nice and cozy. 15. 7 and 3, 10. This is a 5. It's indexing itself. Nothing like indexing yourself. Great thing to do in this puzzle. Just to go index yourself. Okay, enough with the jokes. Getting a little bit tired here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Now we'll just clean this guy up using normal Sudoku techniques. I know, right? We're doing Sudoku in a Sudoku puzzle? What the heck? Why? Anyway. Oh, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 7, 8, and 9. So this is an 8 or a 9. Well, you could... These 3 sum to 15, right? So 6 and 9. Nice. That's an 8. That's a 9. Let's go. This is now a 7. It's a 9. That's an 8. And yeah, I have the corrections on. Again, you can sue me. You can, I got the corrections. And no shame in that, in having the things, because your head gets like so dizzy and just crazy from all the numbers. It's just nice to be able to just fill it in. I mean, I did all the work. I just have someone telling me in a red, signal with the digits. All right, 7, 8. So perfect. 8, 7. This is looking very good. This we need a 2, a 3, and an 8, which we can do. 3, 2, 6, 7. Can't be resolved at the moment. I think we've done all the index region sum lines. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. Okay, the 4 by Sudoku goes there. So the 4 by Sudoku goes here, which knocks out a 5. So that is a 5. 6, 5. That's an 8 by Sudoku, which gives us the 9, 8 pair there at the bottom. What do we need in this row? 6, which gives us 7, 6. Bring it home. Come on. 2 here. 8, 9. 6, 9. For the win. Let's go. My goodness. Almost 68 minutes. An hour and 8 minutes of absolute joy. What a puzzle. Rippleflux by Aeon. Definitely try it out. Hopefully, you guys didn't bifurcate your way through this guy, kind of like how I did, but I really couldn't see any other way to break through. Is to try to, once I got this purple one here, it was pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of the puzzle. And any way you solve the puzzle, that works for me. That's a valid technique, because some people in their solves, they bifurcate, meaning I probably should have explained what that is. It's basically you have like two guesses of what a cell could be, and you pick one of them, and you assume it's correct, and then it will give you information on the puzzle, and if the puzzle breaks, you know that your initial guess was wrong. It's like a proof by contradiction type thing. So then you know that your initial guess was wrong, then you guess the other digit. That's what I did with this row 8, column 8 one here. I said, if it's a 5, what happens? It looked good, but then it broke. And some people can do multiple levels of the bifurcation in their head, but you're still doing it at some point anyway. It's just how far you'll go. So I couldn't see another way to break into the puzzle. If you guys had an easier way, let me know in the comments. Okay. So that is the full solution to Rippleflux. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.